This is week 2 for Acting Theory in America. Uh, this is the uh, response for the readings for the group theater essays and the Bernstoff chapter. Um, the first thing is that I definitely think that the two chapters should have been switched. Because when I was reading Vertel's uh, article, I was very confused. I was like, who are these people? Who are these people? What are these plays? Like, are these things that I should already know? I definitely spent a pretty solid chunk of time down a Wikipedia rabbit hole. Because I was like, I don't know who some of these people are. Uh, People like Clifford Odets. I feel probably should have known who that was. Didn't. Had to Wikipedia him. Lee Strasberg, Jennifer Mesner. Definitely had to look at up who they were as well. Um, let's see. The secondary chapter, Bernstoff's um, chapter, was much more helpful. It explained why Klerman and Vertel, who is the author of the article, um, seemed pretty convinced, or at least basically, but from what I read, is that like the reason that it failed was capitalism. But in the Brestoff chapter, there was other reasons. Um, it wasn't just capitalism. Um, I did find it very interesting that these very um, well off people are always the ones who are like, I'm going to go be an actor in the woods. It's just it's just always something that makes me smile, because you can't have art if you don't have money. Um, that being said, um, the chapter very much talked about the importance of concentration and relaxation. Um, they did the group, they very much focused on um, improv, especially with like true motion sense memory and effective memory. Something I really appreciated in this chapter was like it explained a couple of actual exercises that I could do with my students. So that's always very helpful. Although I personally would not be very good at the one where you have to like picture things in your head and then like describe it, because I can't do that. I can't picture things in my head. Like I could look at something and then tell you what it looks like after the fact. But like if you want me to like close your eyes and picture an apple and taste what the apple tastes like, nope, it's not happening. Um, so there is something to be said about um, uh, people with exceptionalities might struggle with some of these exercises that were given. Um, One of the other things that I thought was really interesting was Vakenkov, reformation of the magic if, where Salinsky's was, if I were this character, how would I act? If I were in this scenario, how would I behave? Whereas Vatengov's changed it to, how do I motivate myself, or what would have to motivate me to behave as this character behaves. And at first I was like, that's the same thing, but it's not. It's not. One is being like, okay, uh, if I were this character, like if and you're pretending to be like, I don't know, Hannibal Lecter or something. I just watched Silence of the Lambs, so that's what's stuck in my head. Sorry, my partner was making commentary in the background. Um, can we think if I were Hannibal Lecter, for example, how would I act? Like, what if I was in the scenario where I was insulted by some guy? Uh, how would I behave? I would not eat a guy. I would not eat a dude. But Vaktangovs. How do I motivate myself, or what would have to motivate me to behave this way? Like, that's a much more interesting thought exercise. Like, what would have to go wrong in my life that, like, eating people who are rude to me seems like a viable option? I don't know why my camera keeps moving like that. Um, so that's actually something very, very interesting that I saw. We learned About Harold Clurman, um, like actually like what his name was because it just said Clurman in this thing. I was like, okay, I don't know who Clurman is. Why is he important? Now we know why he's important. He made the group theater with Cheryl Crawford and Lee Strasberg, whose name I actually did kind of know. So there's one for me. Um, I did find it really entertaining when I was oh, we have all of these people from different ethnic backgrounds and different socioeconomic places. Like, how did they like get everybody like together and on the same page? And it was Clurman talked, and basically that just read to me as it was a cult. This was a cult, and like most culty type things, that it fell apart after 10 years, which as these things do. Um, I also like I definitely my note literally says men ugh, because poor Cheryl Crawford. Anytime they were like, "Oh hey, we need money, Cheryl, get on that," um, and she would go do the thing. But anytime there was like people that, like something needed to be directed, like, yeah, no, Cheryl, you can't do that. Like, sorry. So she was getting like really frustrated about that. I was not surprised to see the background shoving of the woman in this trio. Um, I also found it pretty telling that even the author of the novel, they're like, oh yeah, no, she was like super like pushed to the side and like not like looked over, but we're only going to give her like a 4-line paragraph about it. We're just gonna move on with that. Um, the other very interesting thing was Stellar Adler's conversation with Stanislavski. There we go. I can say words. And how like she was like hating like the entirety of like the method, and that like like the sense memory and like the how on stage like people would be like doing their scene and then they would pause for 30 seconds to get into their oh my grandmother died like feels. I can absolutely see her frustration with that because like would throw anybody and everybody off. Like that very much feels like pre work. Well, wait, hold on, let me finish this thought before I go into that one. And then Stan Lysassy, he's like, yeah, don't do that. Think about like the given circumstances and react to that. I very much think there is a place for both of those things. Like, I don't think it should necessarily be an either or. I think it is a both together, where like the sense memory work and like the magic if exercises happen during pre-production. Um, and then as rehearsals go through, that's when we start focusing in more on the um, circumstances of the actions. This is like 10 minutes, so we're gonna end there.